Hi guys, welcome back to the Just Ask Alumni podcast. Today I'm here with a very, very, very special person, someone who cannot leave the podcast alone to save his life. Welcome, Izaak. I hit the
Hey guys.
welcome back, Izaak. Yeah. So how are you today?
Pretty good. How about you?
I'm okay.
We've just been yapping for an hour.
Yeah.
So
This podcast setup has been very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So today we're going to be talking about how emotions and leadership are seen in today's world and like how they could clash and just have a discussion about it. So Izaak,
Awesome.
when you hear the phrase emotional leader, right?
Yeah.
When you hear the phrase emotional leader, what would it imply in your opinion?
For me, an emotional leader is someone who leads decisions, so makes decisions based off of people's emotions. So it's like they take into consideration their team's emotions and understand that their teammates might not be they might have teammates who are arguing or something like that, and you realize that this is an emotional thing, and so they make a decision that's going to try and benefit the emotions of both individuals rather than a decision that leads to efficiency. I think that's emotional leadership mainly.
So for you, it's like the way that your team, for example, feels over actual efficiency in the workplace.
Yeah.
To be fair, that's very interesting, and to an extent, I kind of agree with you on that.
I think the common conception of it is like, oh, it's a leader who's just emotional, like gets very mad or gets very like, sad or stuff like excited, like they just use emotions all the time. But I think an emotion leader is someone who plays the card of using the team's emotions to help them improve. So it's like leading a team on emotions rather than a team based purely off of efficiency.
And do you feel that leaders are usually kind of like, when someone thinks of a leader, do you feel that usually people think like, oh, big, scary, emotionless guy?
I think so. I think people think of like stoicism as like the main thing, like a really stoic man, or there is the conception of like the female version of that is a really annoying female boss, because like male leaders who are leading with stoicism and people see them as like heroic, the same thing is seen as like annoying from females, I would say.
Yeah.
So I have to censor that. But yeah, like there's that misconception as well. I think that is the common view of an emotional leader. Of normal leadership. Sorry.
And I feel like, since you mentioned emotional leader, a female emotional leader a male emotional leader, like for someone's initial first impression, I feel like it's so different. Like when you think of an emotional guy, I feel like people think more towards anger and like or suppression of emotions, for example, when they think of an emotional female leader, like probably someone that's crying all the time and all of that, and someone that's, I would say, falling apart. Because I feel like when people think emotions and females, it's like that they can't contain their emotions.
Yeah, okay. The thing is like, I think male leadership, like people see emotions as like, male leadership and emotions like as two completely separate things. And if a male leader is emotional, then they're having an outburst, like in anger or frustration or something like that, which is obviously not a good thing. I think that emotional leaders on the female side are seen a bit more positively. I think that like female emotional leaders are seen as like, I don't think they're seen as efficient as male leaders, so they're not seen on the same level. Like people would rather prefer a male unemotional leader rather than an emotional female leader. But I think the connotation of an emotional female leader is better than an emotional male leader.
I think, I totally forgot what I was gonna say. Let me veer back to the question I was gonna ask you. When has being emotional, or when have emotions like been useful in your leading?
Okay. Let's take the alumni team. Especially in a volunteering group, but let's take leadership in general. You have to realize that emotions and logic are hand in hand, so you cannot leave one or the other out. And logic is usually built on someone's emotions, so the way that they think. If someone thinks through a pessimistic versus an optimistic perspective, or someone thinks through a happy perspective or a sad perspective, that completely changes their logic. And so leaders who only focus on just logic don't actually realize that their own logic is based off of a certain emotional upbringing and emotional perspective, if that makes sense. So in order to logically create solutions for your team members and lead your team, you have to understand the emotional perspective and emotional landscape in which they're actually logically thinking through. So we might have a teammate who values quality a lot, and you might have another teammate who values something else. I mean, those are emotional things. So it might not be logical. It might be like, okay, we want quality, but realistically we need to move fast here. We can't do this at 100% quality, because if we do that, then we waste time, and at this point in time we need to be quick. So like logically it might not be the best to focus on quality, but for that person it won't make sense. Yeah. Even though it's a logical argument in your emotional perspective, it's not a logical argument in their emotional perspective.
Kind of depends on the different kind of person. So
exactly,
you're
values.
saying that a good emotional leader would get to know their team individually.
Yeah.
And they would know, like, okay, so person A thinks about things in this way, person B thinks about them in this way.
No, 100%. You have to completely understand the emotions behind your teammates. Like, even why are they doing what they're doing in your team? So it's like,
I feel like ultimately it would help with efficiency, because
100%.
Like, okay, so let's say the example that you were saying with the quality person, for example. You need this to come out soon, so you know how to speak to them in a way to tell them, like, listen, it's not that deep about the quality right now, we can get back to that later. So I feel like getting to know the person and the way that they think individually helps with the efficiency of the team, because you know how to approach the person.
100%. The thing is that it's a long game efficiency strategy. So playing on the team's emotions, it's kind of a bit like manipulation. Like, you're manipulating.
Professional manipulation.
It's professional manipulation, because you're using the team's emotions to improve their work. So you're not doing it with malintention, of course, but you're doing it to improve their work. And the thing is, in the short term, it will not lead to efficiency. It will lead to a lot of stagnation. But in the long term, once you've figured it out and once the team has grown, then it rapidly accelerates the team. So we saw that in the alumni. We saw a year of, like, let's say not stagnation, but not that much progress, us still getting on our feet and like figuring it out and stuff like that. And then a rapid acceleration between having 7 teammates to now 20 team members in the span of a half a year. So last year we did 4 projects. Like, imagine we did 4 projects. This year we're doing 10. So it's a long game. It's a long game efficiency, because me and Antea, when we started like leading the alumni team, our board members, we sort of had to understand exactly who they are before we can like really tackle projects. But now that we really understand who they are as individuals and who they are in a team setting, we can then play on those and really, really make them excel at leading their own teams now.
That makes such, I feel, what you just said about like how they are individually and how a person works in a team, that makes so much sense. Because, for example, me in a team, I'm very, like, if, for example, hypothetical, so we had to do like a study session for alumni, for example, and we're all studying here, I would be so productive. Yeah. Like, I'd spend an hour talking and I'd start my work. But then once that starts, I would be really productive, because there are people kind of which can help hold me accountable if I don't.
Yeah.
Then once I get home and I need to study by myself alone at home, it's the time to clean the dishwasher, it's time to clean my room, it's time to like go shower and change my life. So that makes a difference, for example, for me. So obviously, being emotional and professionally manipulating people comes with a lot of responsibility.
Oh, 100%. I mean, the thing with vulnerability is, okay, so the thing about learning people's emotions is that they have to be vulnerable. So there's a level of wall breaking that you have to do to get to that inner onion layers of emotions, you know what I mean, and perspective. You really have to dive deep into their childhoods, their backgrounds, and understand them. And there's a level of vulnerability that comes with that. Like, you need to be able to get people to be vulnerable in order to be an emotional leader.
I bet it was really hard to make me vulnerable and tell you about my life.
No, not really. You know for a fact it was not difficult.
No, it wasn't. We just had to sit down and I just had to start talking.
But the thing is, okay, so I'm often regarded as quite an emotional leader. I mean, in our previous events and stuff like that, the whole team, like when I talk about my leadership style, I'm an emotional leader.
Is there anything specific? Like, is there a specific thing which makes people say that you're an emotional leader? Like, I agree with you, but I've known you a bit too long now for me to say, like, there's one thing.
I think it's more of the fact that I focus a lot on the individuals. I think I try my best to, like, we have a mission in the alumni and we have a mission in the team, but realistically I care more about the people than the mission, which probably wouldn't work in a lot of scenarios, but for us it works because once you show that you care a lot with your team, the people who really want to work will just work then. There's almost zero convincing you have to do. So if we take Miguel, who's behind the camera, for example, like, we use him because he's a perfect example.
Preparado, heck, Miguel.
Like, Miguel, sort of, when we got him into the team, I knew he wanted to work. And it's like, there was a very good amount of work that he could do. Like, I didn't really have to push him much to work. Like, he just did work. But I think then, forming a connection with him and like understanding him on a deeper level made us more productive together as a team. So like, I understood him more, he understood me more, which meant that we understood what was the outcome of any conversation that we were going to have almost. Like, I knew what he was going to say almost, which means that communication is faster. We make decisions faster.
At the end of the day, it builds, like, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, Miguel. I feel like it would build trust and even respect for, like, the way I know I work, for example. Obviously you're using me because if I respect someone, I will be more inclined to want to help that person. Exactly,
100%.
And obviously I will start respecting you by getting to know you and you becoming more human to me. So if Miguel texts me at 11 in the evening when we're preparing things for Skola Saif and he gives me a list of things to do tomorrow, I won't mind starting them that evening, for example, because I know him and it's...
That's one of the benefits that comes with being an emotional leader, is that you kind of, if you create a connection with someone, you really, really care about them, they sort of owe you that they do the same to you. It's like, that's just human nature. If someone's nice to you, then you're more likely to want to be nice back. And there's that trick, for example.
You scratch my back, I scratch yours.
Exactly, but it's also sort of the thing, it's like, one way to actually become a friend with someone, like get someone to like you, is to ask them to do something. And if you ask someone, like, can you do, not something big, like something like, can you pass me a pencil? I need a pencil. Like, I forgot my pencil at home. And you hand it over to me, that, like, it forces you to, like, create a connection with me. Like, subconsciously, you're going to feel better about me because you've helped me. And helping people gives you, dopamine, it makes you happier. And so that dopamine is associated with me, which means that I become a better connection in your head, which means that we become better friends.
I did not think of that like that.
Yeah. So leaders who feel like they should always know everything and never ask their team for anything or stuff like that, they're losing out at the potential of, like, really, like, taking that dopamine and using it to create a better connection and trust.
In my opinion, leaders who are like that are bosses, not leaders.
100%.
Like, I feel like there's such a difference in the sense of, if you're a leader, if you're a good boss, then you will ask me for feedback. You will ask me how I'm feeling about. That's just it's how I think it would work if I had to be a leader. For example, when we had the company program, it's a constant thing of, listen, is this system working for you? Do you want to change something like that? How are you feeling? How are you doing with schoolwork, for example? And then, so I feel like, especially if it's someone of a leadership position, like someone who technically is above you, they ask you something simple, as simple as how are you with schoolwork, for example, or how are you in your life right now? Can I give you something else, or is it too much? It makes a big difference because thank you for not just dumping it on me.
I'm trying not to scratch my own back here, but if you dive deep into my conversations with you or with the rest of the team, you'll notice that is exactly the techniques I'm using in order to get to know my team more. And the thing is, for me, it's not I don't even see it as a work thing. It's just something I do.
You can tell it's kind of like nature for you.
Yeah, it's second nature for me. So being an emotional leader just comes naturally to me. It's like how I was raised and like made to be a leader. So some people are going to find it a lot harder to connect emotionally, and those people are more likely to be systematic leaders or leaders that lead with efficiency, which realistically isn't necessarily a bad thing. Like when you look at the companies, we can dive into the science and the stuff like that later.
Nature versus nurture.
100%, but a lot of the top companies in the world are led by CEOs that when you ask a lot of their employees or people who have worked with them, they say, oh, he's like he's such an and you realize that those people are 100% on efficiency and they will not let anything get in the way of that, which obviously leads to huge amounts of success. But you need a really specific team to do that. Just as you really need a specific team to be just an emotional leader as well.
You'd need to have, for you to be that kind of leader, you'd need employees which are practically robots.
Yeah.
Or that have the same values as you. Because not everyone will value, hey, Hamor, we need to get this done. Like some people...
It is, then I think the mission comes in. Because I think those leaders then really hone in on the mission. They hire people that believe in the mission. And if you don't believe in the mission, you won't be efficient, you won't be fast enough, you won't be smart enough to keep up, which means you're not meant to be part of this team. And once you are part of this team, and this is what I think we see with a lot of the top CEOs like across the world with the biggest S&P 500 companies, they're like, now you're in the team. There's no point arguing. You're in this team because you know what you signed up for. You know you signed up for an emotionless sort of journey. The emotion comes when from the satisfaction of finishing. That's the only emotion we're allowed here, which to be fair isn't necessarily a bad thing. I'm not going to.
If you work like that, then good. Exactly. Then you're in the right place. If you don't work like that.
I think this conversation is important. It's important to emphasize that we're not trying to say one leadership style is better than the other, but to open the door for emotional leaders more often. I mean, we're seeing a lot of new research that female CEOs and female leaders are better leaders than males because of their higher emotional, their EQ practically.
Yeah, I mean,
exactly. So they're more likely to be able to do that.
Before we finish this part of the segment, let me add on to that. There have been studies where women almost naturally, well, technically it's not naturally because it's when you start growing up, as a girl, you start realizing okay, so I need to be careful of this girl's feelings. I have to be careful of that person. They had done a study on kids, for example. I saw this on Instagram, but it's also an actual study. Okay. And they gave a group of girls jelly and they put a bunch of salt in it. So obviously it tasted bad. And they gave boys the same jelly. The girls were they were lying, saying, oh, no, it's okay, it's good. The next time we make it, we can make it a bit different. So, and these kids were 4 years old.
Okay.
So at 4 years old, the girls were already taking care of other people's feelings. The boys were oh my God, what the heck did you just do? This is disgusting, I can't eat this, I'm sorry, but I can't eat this. So even at that age, no wonder when they become CEOs and they're a bit more mindful, and mindful is the word, mindful of the people around them, because even at that age, they're already...
I think later we need to discuss definitely the benefits of both. Because I think there's a fine line between... You need to find a balance. Yeah, 100%. So
that wraps up the first half of the episode, which already flew by, to be honest.
Yeah, it did.
I would like to take a moment to thank our sponsors, Malta Food Agency and EUPA's Solidarity Corps scheme. I would like to thank them for helping us and for believing in our mission as alumni. Okay, so we're back to part 2 of the podcast. We had obviously more yapping while we were waiting for our camera to charge. Now we're gonna do the game. So, from what I've understood the game, because I had to understand this 5 minutes ago, I'm going to read different leadership scenarios to you.
Okay.
And after every scenario I read to you, you need to answer 3 questions.
Okay.
What emotion would you feel first? Obviously being in the scenario. What would you want to do instinctively? That's a long word. And what would you actually do as a leader?
Okay.
Okay, so I'm going to give you a scenario and you're going to answer those. I can remind you, obviously.
Yeah.
So scenario 1. A team member shuts down after receiving feedback. Let's start with the first one. What emotion would you feel first?
Bruh. In certain situations, I'm like, bruh. In other situations, I'm empathetic. I feel it. But like, in scenarios where I'm tired, my immediate reaction is, bruh.
What the heck, dude?
Yeah.
The whole point is to be transparent.
Yeah.
Okay, what would you want to do instinctively?
Move them out, continue. Like, if we're doing something... Okay, it really depends, but if we're... I'm taking this off. This is like itching me. If we're like in the middle of a project, like it's an event and we're like working, move. Like that's instinctively I'm like, move, we need to work. And then what I would actually do is go up and like, hey, okay, do you need some time? Like, what do you need? Do you need time, rent, or some advice or something like that? And it's like, what do you need? And we listen to what they need, and then we go off and I redistribute my work to someone else. So I'll pass it on to Miguel usually, or Antea if she's there. And, the first initial thing is I decide who's going to take care of the person. Is it me or is it someone else? Usually it's not me, because I'm not good at emotional on the spot stuff most of the time.
Fair.
So I designate it to usually a female, because a female is usually better on the spot stuff. So designate and then redistribute and figure out the work that needs to happen now. If it's not a high priority scenario, then we'll chill, we tell everyone, okay, let's take a break, let's relax, and we'll figure out what's the problem and go from there.
So basically you just kind of answered the what would you actually do as a leader.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I do, yeah.
Okay, so let's move on to the second scenario. A teammate publicly disagrees with your decision. How would you feel in that moment? Like the first, automatically, like what do you think? Like in your inner thoughts.
Again, bruh.
This episode is sponsored by the word bruh.
Bruh. No, it's...
We have a bruh account.
You mean publicly, like if I'm saying something, like let's say we're having a discussion with another alumni team, I say something and then someone in my team disagrees with me.
Let's say that,
Bruh. Mainly because, like, I'm annoyed because a situation like that does not evoke that you correct me
in the moment.
You fix my decision afterwards. Like you tell me, hey, this is what you did wrong. But in front of other people, you've really lost a lot of the trust that we should be showing.
It's kind of like how relationships work.
Exactly. Yeah.
Don't embarrass me in front of everyone. Like defend me in front of everyone. Then when we go home.
But then criticize the Exactly. No, you definitely have to do that. So in public, we're a team. Behind closed doors, we definitely tell each other what we believe should be done. So.
And what would you want to do instinctively? Again, like this is in your head. What would you be doing to that person?
Punch them. Get up and punch them. Yeah.
You don't want to be punched by Izaak because he's like a karate child, karate kid.
Karate kid. Yeah. A lot of situations that bother me, I just feel like punching them. So instinctively, I punch them. Reactively, like what
would you actually do?
What I would actually do is I'd sit for 2 seconds. I'd be like, this is something we still got to figure out, but let's bench it and move on to something else, or.
So like you can discuss it later.
Before.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it has happened in the team before. Even I've jumped in, so it's like I've made the mistake as well. In that scenario, what I think you should do is say, okay, we haven't figured it out outside, so we can't really have a negotiation or do stuff with someone else. So we'll bench it, figure it out later, and we'll get back to you.
Fair, very media trained.
Yeah.
Scenario 3. Your project is failing and the deadline is close. What emotion would you feel first?
So, a project I'm leading?
Let's say
a project I'm leading. the project is failing.
And the deadline is approaching.
And the deadline's approaching. Focus. I would like jump in. I'd start like my.
You'd lock in.
Be, like, yeah, my emotion would be. I'd probably be very. What's the word for it? I'm forgetting the word. But I'd be very sort of self-critical. At first.
Extra.
Yes. I would like list out all the reasons why I'm doing this job terribly. Like everything. Like I can't do this. Blah blah blah. Spend 5 minutes doing that, and then, okay, lock in. Let's go.
What would you want to do instinctively? Start screaming.
Yeah, screaming like I don't blame myself and like stuff like that, or blame other people. Actually, blame other people. Something
I feel like that's something very normal. Exactly. Most people don't want to admit that they did something. Not that they did something wrong, but you don't want to be the blame.
If something is failing, I immediately blame other people. Then what I actually do is after I stop blaming people, I immediately blame myself for everything. I take full responsibility for what's going on. So
you go from one end of the scale to another.
So if something's going wrong between, like, project is failing, I would blame it on everything around me and for 5 minutes, and then after I start blaming everything on me. And the reason I do that is I don't actually like fully blame myself for everything, but I start listing all of my responsibilities and all the reasons all the possibilities of stuff I could have done wrong. I tackle those, and then I lock in to fix those, and that's how then I lead the project. Like, you could do something horrendous to me. Like, you could do something that obviously objectively is a bad thing that you do to me. I will blame you for it, but then 5 minutes later I'll blame myself for it. I will blame it's a bit weird, but I will look at all the possible reasons, what I could have done wrong to incite that. Like, what realistically could I have done wrong? I will fix those, and then I'm happy. Because if I feel like it's a very stupid and selfish thing to believe that you're never, like, you're always wrong in some way. Every scenario, you're always in some way wrong. So believing that you're not wrong in a scenario is selfish.
Fair.
So I look at what the ways I could be wrong, I fix those, and then I know for a fact that I've done my best, and there's nothing else I can do about it. Because then if a person still has a problem with me, it's their fault. Because I've done everything. I've literally gone over all the details for this. Like, I've done everything. Now it's in your hands. You feel that way because you feel that way, not because I did anything.
Exactly, but it's your problem. تكلمنيش.
Exactly.
And let's move on to the final one. What if someone on your team is clearly burnt out but not saying it? What's the first thing you feel?
Empathetic, very empathetic, because that's me. I do that all the time. It's something that I understand completely. It's something that, from an outside, so from when you're in the scenario, you feel like, no, it's like I have to continue. It's like, this is important. I have to finish it. But from the outside, you clearly notice like this is a stupid thing to be continually doing. Like, you need a rest. So I would be empathetic. What I instinctively would do would also be what I instinctively would do would tell them you need a break. And then what I actually do afterwards, I think the more effective method is figure out why it's important to them. Like, why are you burning out over this?
Go like therapist mode.
Yeah. A bit
so how are you feeling?
Why do you care about this so much that you're burning out? And then they usually don't give a reason. They usually give a false reason.
Probably as that it would take a bit more.
They usually give a reason that they think is the reason, and then you have to then continue asking questions. Because then what I do then is I logically break down their argument. I say, this is not the reason. There's a further reason behind this.
You therapize them.
Yeah, because I tell them, if this was the reason, then you'd be doing this. So what's the actual reason? And continue. And then they realize hopefully if it works, they realize the actual reason why they care about it so much. And usually that reason is a very good reason, and I reinforce that. I say that's a very good reason why you're doing this and why you're burning out. But you can achieve that if you have a day break. There's nothing stopping you from having a day break, and like, you're gonna achieve that better. And probably if you have a break now, then the efficiency increases and you reach the goal even better. So take a break. And then the logic pays in. But that's what I'm saying, that's what we were talking about earlier, is the manipulation of someone's emotions to actually make them realize that there is logic that they can follow, that goes with their emotions as well. So they might be thinking, oh, my emotions, I cannot use them because I have to be logical. And then you let them realize that their emotions do have a logical backing behind them, so they should follow their emotions in some instances and actually continue with them. So yeah.
Basically, for life coaching sessions, contact this dude. Izaak, I don't know your number. So that wraps up the game portion. This was quite a game, an insightful game for once.
It was very, very fun. Very fun.
You felt like you were getting interrogated by the press.
A little bit. I didn't know the game, because I usually know the games of like what the episodes are, but I didn't know about this one. It was fun.
To be fair, when I read it, I was like, it took me a second to understand.
No, it makes sense. Well done, Miguel.
Well done, Miguel. It was a fun game.
It was a very fun game.
Let's go back. Before we went for the break, you mentioned something that you want to go back to. And I totally forgot. When we were talking about the female, how like females are a bit... Okay, awesome.
So there is research that's saying that females are becoming better CEOs than males and are leading better teams. And I love that research. Like, I think it's showing a lot of what male leaders are missing out on. And why do I? This is not okay. What I'm about to say is not based on any sort of facts. It's what I just believe in my opinion. Is that females are better leaders because they're more trained for emotional scenarios than guys are. Because guys live a lot of their lives not experiencing a lot of emotional encounters. So females, we were talking about this earlier, female friends have a lot more emotional encounters than men do. So like male friends, we don't really like, there's not much emotion between our friendships. Like we feel emotion, yes, and it's a very deep emotion, but there isn't a lot of conflict. So male friendships don't have a lot of emotional conflict. They have more logical conflict. And
when you say logical conflict, in what sense? Are you talking about like arguments, kind of?
Yeah, they'd be like, you did that. And they'd be like, but you did that. And they'd be like...
5 minutes later.
5 minutes later, they're fine. Like, it's not really emotion. It's logical. Like, you did this, it bothered me. Like, it annoyed me. And the other guy went, fair enough. Like, that's it. Yeah. It stops there. Females, on the other hand, they've had a lot more experience with complicated emotional situations. That trains them better for the scenarios that leaders need to have when dealing with teammates. So while male leaders will not know how to handle those scenarios because they haven't had the experiences that build up their EQ. So this is not even I don't even think this is a male-female genetic thing. Not at all. Obviously there is a biological part behind it, but I just feel like that males on average don't have as many emotional conflict with other people. That causes them to not understand how to deal with certain scenarios, which makes them worse emotional leaders. So I feel like the research that's showing us now is that female CEOs are doing better at their job, they're leading companies better, they're building things faster, and they're doing it through emotions, and it's showing us that pathway of leadership is actually efficient. It's like you can accomplish everything you want to accomplish through being an emotional leader, just as much as you are with a logical one, if that makes sense.
I feel like we also see this is like, for example, in a friend group, you know, when they say like, oh, ma, like when they call the girl ma, yeah. I feel like that's also like plays a part into it because sorry, wait, you need to add the English subtitles to that. Let me say it in Baltic. A girl, like if there's, for example, two boys fighting, like I see it a lot. The boys don't fight as much as well because they also bury things. Like with a girl, if you're doing something and I'm really not liking it, you do it again. I'm more inclined to tell you, if I am a confrontational person, confrontational does not mean you're argumentative, by the way.
Yeah.
Not accepting shit, bleep it, from other people is not being argumentative. But a girl is more inclined to tell you, listen, this is hurting my feelings. You might not intend for it to happen, but it's hurting my feelings.
Yeah.
Then that's when that clash will start between girls. Boys are like, I don't like this, but so I also think that things like that are what lead females to kind of be able to handle things more emotionally.
Exactly, and you said males bury things more because I'll say this annoyed me. Like, you did something bad, you say the same thing, and we're like, okay, over. Like, and we bury it. So as males, we decide to like, okay, we can't solve this now, we'll bury it. And there's not that level of like trying to solve it. And that leads, I feel like that then later on leads to more outbursts. And the thing is,
you'd explode.
A lot of arguments start that can be solved in like 5 seconds. Like so many arguments between people can be solved so quickly. If you stop and actually be like, if I had to be this person who values these certain values and is in this context right now, I would act the same way. Once you realize that, you really cannot be mad at the person, and that's when the growth and the collaboration actually starts.
And at the end of the day, like even being emotional is being vulnerable enough in a leadership perspective to be able to admit you did something wrong, but then learn from it, because at the end of the day, a leader is still a human. So they're gonna do things sometimes which isn't the best thing, which wouldn't have been the best choice. But then an emotionally vulnerable leader would be like, okay, not the right thing to have done, I'm sorry, I will learn. If you had to give advice to an emotional leader or someone who's trying to be a bit more emotional with their leading, what would you tell them?
There's one big downside to emotional leadership, is that you let things go. But as a leader, you do have to stand your ground. So an emotional leader like me will let things go on for too long, because you think, hey, this person is feeling this way, this is how they act and stuff like that, and I cannot really argue against someone what they're feeling. But then again, if it is something that cannot be solved, you do have to stand your ground and be like, this is not working out for the team. You're either going to fix this or you're out. Like, there has to be emotional leaders, you have to at the same time have a bit of authority. And that is for the sake of you, your team, and them. Because if someone is constantly getting into arguments or not doing any work in the team, they're not useful for the team. So their emotions at this point, not that they don't matter, but they're not aligning with the emotions of the team, which means that realistically they shouldn't be in the team. And as an emotion leader, you should realize that there is a level of understanding that you should do as an emotion leader, but only for the right people. And so you really have to know that it's the right people you have in your team in order to do that.
It will make a huge difference if you don't.
Yeah, exactly.
It will make your life harder and the person's.
Exactly. And speaking from experience as an emotion leader, it's very difficult to want to kick out someone from your team. It's very difficult to realize a flaw in a person that you fundamentally understand. So you realize that there's a flaw, and you realize where the flaw comes from, especially if they've opened up to you, you know the childhood trauma or the...
Which plays a big role.
Or the upbringing of it. The way I think is very much affected by my childhood.
Childhood plays a bigger role than people think.
Exactly. And they don't realize it themselves.
Exactly. It's subconscious. It's all subconscious.
So it's very difficult. Once maybe you understand more than them why they do certain things, it's very difficult then to stand your ground and say, hey, this is not working. You either have to fix this or you're out. It's very, very difficult because you understand the emotions that they're feeling, and you understand the then heartbreak that comes from being told that they should leave the team. And I think my advice, TLDR, i.e., my advice to emotion leaders is stand ground and realize that there are times you have to be authoritative and you have to take action against someone's emotions in the betterment of the emotions of the entire team.
I like that piece of information that you have just given us. We can end this episode here. Honestly, it was amazing having you back. Izaak, welcome back to the podcast, and now goodbye.
Wow. I'm still editing it, by the way, so...
Oops.
I'm still watching every episode.
It's okay.
Behind
it's okay.
the scenes. Wow.
So we can end that here. To everyone watching, I hope you had a great Christmas, because I think Christmas would have passed by now. Yeah. So happy Christmas and happy New Year, and watch the next episode of the Just Ask Alumni podcast. not featuring Izaak next time.
See you guys.
Bye.